The first thing I noticed was the cake. Not the balloon sagging against the fence, not the paper lanterns swaying in the warm June air, not the six empty chairs arranged around a backyard table like guests who had stepped away and forgotten to come back. The cake. It sat in the center of my neighbor's patio table with 30 candles already pushed into the frosting, all of them unlit, waiting for someone to care enough to strike a match. And Maya Sullivan stood beside it in a yellow dress, smiling at nobody. I was on my side of the fence with a trash bag in one hand and my 5-year-old daughter's pink scooter in the other, frozen like a man who had just walked into a private heartbreak. My name is Caleb Harris. I was 31 years old, an appliance repair technician, a divorced dad, and at that point in my life, I had gotten pretty good at not interfering. A broken dishwasher, I could fix that. A neighbor crying quietly in her backyard while pretending not to? That was above my pay grade. At least, that's what I told myself for about 3 seconds. Then my daughter Sadie came barreling out the back door wearing fairy wings over her pajamas, followed by our golden retriever Biscuit, who had never met a boundary he respected. "Daddy," Sadie whispered loudly, which is the only volume 5-year-olds have. "Why is Miss Maya having a party by herself?" Across the fence, Maya turned. She didn't jump. She didn't even look embarrassed at first. She just did that awful adult thing, where her face hurried to rearrange itself before anyone could see the truth. "Oh," she called, lifting one hand. "Hi, Caleb. Hi, Sadie." Her voice was bright, too bright, like a porch light left on after everyone had gone home. Maya had moved into the little blue house next door 6 months earlier. She taught second grade at the elementary school, painted old furniture on weekends, and always smelled faintly like vanilla and sawdust. I knew this because she had helped Sadie build a birdhouse in March and somehow ended up with blue paint on her cheek, laughing like she didn't mind being caught messy. I had noticed that laugh. I had also noticed the way she tied her dark hair up with pencils, the way she talked to Biscuit like he paid rent, and the way she waved at me every morning with a coffee mug in one hand and a book tucked under her arm. I had noticed a lot. I just hadn't done anything about it because I was the kind of man who had spent 2 years rebuilding a quiet life and was afraid to invite anything beautiful into it in case it decided to leave. Sadie pressed her nose between the fence slats. "Where are your friends?" Maya's smile trembled. There it was. The truth, small and sharp. "They're running late," Maya said. One of the paper plates lifted in the breeze and slid off the table onto the grass. No one moved. Biscuit whined like even he knew that answer didn't land right. I looked at the table again. There were little glass jars with flowers in them, pink napkins folded into triangles, a pitcher of lemonade sweating in the heat, a bowl of chips nobody had touched. Streamers looped carefully across the pergola. This wasn't an afterthought. This woman had made a wish and set a place for it. Then she had stood there while the world didn't show up. I heard myself say, "Sadie, go grab your shoes." My daughter looked up at me. "Are we going?" I looked at Maya through the fence. She was already shaking her head. "Caleb, no, you don't have to." "I know," I said. That seemed to stop her. I set down the trash bag, opened our back gate, and walked around the fence with Sadie hopping beside me in one sneaker and one sock, Biscuit galloping ahead like he'd been personally invited by the mayor. Maya stood very still as we came through her side gate. Up close, I saw the little things she'd tried to hide from 20 feet away. The mascara smudged under one eye, the lipstick she had bitten off, the way her fingers kept smoothing the front of her dress like maybe if she looked perfect enough, the night would stop hurting. Biscuit went straight to her, sat on her foot, and leaned his entire furry body against her leg. Sadie held up a crumpled dandelion she must have stolen from our yard on the way over. "Happy birthday," she said. "This is from me, and Biscuit, but he can't hold flowers because he has no thumbs." Maya laughed. It cracked right through the sadness. Not all the way, but enough that I felt it in my chest. She took the dandelion carefully like Sadie had handed her diamonds. "Thank you. It's perfect." I cleared my throat, suddenly aware that I had invaded a birthday party wearing an old gray t-shirt with a dryer lint stain on the shoulder. "I'm sorry," I said. "We should have asked before storming your kingdom." Maya looked at Biscuit, who had started sniffing the gift bags under the table. "Your night is eating my tissue paper." He's more of a court jester. And you? She asked. It was a simple question. It landed nowhere simple. I looked at her in that yellow dress under those useless decorations, with a whole backyard full of disappointment behind her, and I felt something in me lean forward. I guess I'm the neighbor who couldn't pretend he didn't see. Her expression softened so suddenly I almost looked away. Then Sadie tugged on my hand. Can we sing? You can't have candles and not sing. That's against birthday law. Maya wiped under one eye with her knuckle. Birthday law sounds serious. It is, I said. Very strict jurisdiction. Oh yeah? Maya folded her arms, trying for playful, though her voice still shook. And what's the penalty? I glanced at the cake. 1 slice per witness. For the record, she said, that cake was meant for 12 people. Good, I skipped dinner. That got me another laugh. Smaller this time, but real. I found matches near the lemonade pitcher and started lighting the candles. Maya stepped beside me to shield the flame from the breeze, close enough that her shoulder brushed mine. It was nothing. A half second of contact, but I felt the warmth of her arm, smelled vanilla and lemon, and for the first time in a long while I didn't feel like a man standing outside his own life. She looked at me from the corner of her eye. You're really going to sing to me with a 5-year-old and a dog as backup? I've performed for tougher crowds. Name one. My mother during church Christmas programs. Maya smiled, and this time it stayed. The last candle caught. 30 tiny flames flickered across her face, softening everything the evening had tried to take from her. Sadie climbed onto a chair. Biscuit barked once, dramatically, as if announcing the royal court. I started singing, badly. Sadie sang louder. Biscuit howled. Maya covered her mouth, laughing and crying at the same time, and by the time we reached her name, I realized she wasn't looking at the candles anymore. She was looking at me, not grateful, not rescued. Looking. Like maybe I had just stepped into a room she had locked years ago. When the song ended, she closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew out every candle in one breath. The backyard went quiet. Then her phone lit up on the table. She glanced down before she could stop herself. I saw only one line on the screen. Sorry, Maya. We all forgot it was tonight. Her face changed. The smile disappeared so fast it felt like someone had pulled the sun out of the yard. And before I could think of one decent thing to say, she whispered, I think I'm too old to keep pretending this doesn't hurt. Maya stared at the message like it had reached up and slapped her. I wanted to take the phone and throw it over the fence. Not because I was angry in some noble, useful way, but because her face had gone quiet. Not peaceful. Quiet like a door closing from the inside. Sadie thankfully didn't understand adult cruelty dressed up as an apology. Miss Maya, she said, pointing at the cake, you have to cut it now. Birthday law again. Maya blinked, then gave my daughter a wobbly smile. Of course. I wouldn't want to become a criminal. I reached for the knife before she could. Allow me. I've fixed enough garbage disposals to be trusted with sharp objects. That sentence does not inspire confidence. It shouldn't. She laughed softly and I took it as a small victory. We ate cake on paper plates under the lanterns. Sadie picked the corner piece with the biggest frosting rose, then somehow got half of it on her nose. Biscuit sat like a saint beside Maya's chair, except for the occasional slow inch forward whenever her fork dipped toward the plate. You're not subtle, Maya told him. He believes patience and begging are the same virtue, I said. Maya broke off a tiny crumb and held it between 2 fingers. This is not for you. Biscuit wagged his tail. Do not charm me. He's been trying that on me for 3 years. Has it worked? I looked at Biscuit, then at Sadie, who was now licking frosting off her wrist. I live with him, don't I? Maya's smile warmed. For a while, we didn't talk about the empty chairs. We talked about safe things. Sadie's kindergarten graduation, Maya's classroom hamster who apparently hated children but loved jazz music, my job, and the time I found a family of toy dinosaurs inside a washing machine drain. But between the easy bits, I kept feeling the weight of what she hadn't said. After Sadie finished her cake, she announced, I'm making Miss Maya a birthday card, and marched to the patio steps with a stack of napkins and a purple marker from her fairy wing pocket. That left Maya and me at the table. The lanterns moved above us. Her shoulder was close to mine again, close enough that if I turned my hand over on the table, my fingers would almost touch hers. I wanted to. That was the problem. For 2 years, I had been careful. Careful with my daughter, careful with my heart, careful not to look too long at the woman next door who painted old chairs turquoise and sang to herself while watering tomato plants. Maya traced the rim of her paper plate. I invited 11 people. I didn't interrupt. My sister had a work thing, that was real, but everyone else? She swallowed. They said yes. Some even asked what they could bring. I made too much lemonade because Claire said she was bringing her boyfriend, and Priya said she might bring her cousin, and I thought. She stopped. You thought people would show up, I said. Her eyes lifted to mine. There was no reason for me to feel honored by that look, but I did. Like she had handed me something fragile and trusted me not to drop it. I know it's not a tragedy, she said. Nobody died. The house didn't burn down. It's just a birthday party. It's not just a birthday party. Her mouth trembled. I pushed my plate aside. It's a table you set for people who didn't come. That hurts. She looked away fast, but not before I saw the tears. I'm embarrassed, she whispered. Don't be. That's easy for you to say. You didn't get dressed up for a patio full of empty chairs. I glanced down at my lint-stained shirt. No, I made the bold choice to arrive underdressed and emotionally unprepared. That surprised a laugh out of her. I leaned back, relieved. There it is. What? That laugh. I was hoping it would come back. Her eyes rested on me, softer now. You noticed my laugh? I should have dodged. Made a joke. Reached for the lemonade. Instead, I said, I notice a lot about you. The words landed between us. Maya's fingers went still on her plate. Behind her, Sadie hummed while drawing something that looked like a birthday cake being attacked by a unicorn. Biscuit snored under the table. The world carried on, completely unaware that I had just stepped over a line I'd been staring at for months. Maya's voice came quieter. Like what? I looked at her yellow dress, then at her face. You talk to plants when you think no one's listening. Her lips parted. You always buy the good coffee from the bakery on Fridays. You sand furniture in the mornings because you like the light. You pretend you're not cold in October because you hate giving up summer. And when Sadie tells a story, you listen like every word matters. Maya's eyes filled again, but this time the sadness wasn't alone. Caleb, she whispered. I smiled faintly. Too much? No. She shook her head. Just unexpected. Yeah, I'm famous for my bad timing. It's not bad timing. My heart did something reckless. She looked down at my hand on the table, then slowly, deliberately, she touched her fingers to mine. Not an accident, not a polite thank you, a choice. Her fingertips were warm from the evening air. I didn't move at first, afraid if I did, I'd break whatever spell had settled over us. Then I turned my hand and held hers. Maya exhaled like she had been waiting all night for one person to reach back. I noticed things too, she said. I nearly forgot how to breathe. Oh yeah? You fix Sadie's ponytails terribly but with great devotion. That's fair. You sing off-key in your garage. That's private suffering. You let Biscuit sleep on the couch even though you tell him every morning he's not allowed. He has legal counsel. And, she said, her thumb brushing the side of my hand, you always look like you want to say more when we talk by the mailboxes. I met her eyes, no hiding now. I do. The air changed. It was still a backyard. Still a failed party. Still a table with too many plates and a half-cut cake. But suddenly, it also felt like the beginning of something I hadn't known I was allowed to want. Sadie appeared beside us and slapped a napkin onto the table. I made a card. Maya and I let go too quickly, like teenagers caught in a hallway. Sadie narrowed her eyes at us. Were you holding hands? Maya's cheeks flushed pink. I coughed. We were discussing cake jurisdiction. Adults are weird, Sadie said, then turned to Maya. Open it. Maya unfolded the napkin carefully. On it, Sadie had drawn 3 stick figures, one blob with ears and a giant cake. Above them, in crooked letters, she'd written, We came. Maya pressed the napkin to her chest. Oh, she said, voice breaking. Sadie. Then she cried. Not quietly this time, not politely. She covered her mouth and her shoulders shook. Sadie looked alarmed. Did I make it bad? No, honey, Maya managed. You made it perfect. I stood and moved closer, not touching her until she looked up at me. Can I? I asked. She nodded. I wrapped my arms around her. Maya stepped into me like she was tired of holding herself together. Her forehead rested against my shoulder, and I felt the damp warmth of her tears through my shirt. I held her carefully at first, then closer when her hands gripped the back of my t-shirt. Sadie patted Maya's hip. Biscuit, sensing deep emotional opportunity, shoved his head between us. Maya laughed through the tears. This is the strangest birthday I've ever had, she said against my chest. I looked down at her. Bad, strange? She lifted her face. We were close. Very close. Her lashes were wet. Her mouth curved, small and brave. No, she said. The other kind. I wanted to kiss her. The want hit me so hard I actually took half a breath back. Because Sadie was right there. Because Maya was tender tonight. Because I didn't want to be just the man who showed up when everyone else didn't. I wanted to be the man she would choose in daylight too. So I brushed my thumb once over the back of her hand and said, Then we're not done yet. Her eyes searched mine. We're not. No, birthday law requires at least one ridiculous activity after cake. Sadie gasped. Dance party? Maya looked at me, amused and tear-streaked. You dance? No. Perfect, she said. Neither do I. I pulled out my phone, found an old soul playlist, and set it on the table. The first song crackled into the warm night. Sadie spun in wild circles, Biscuit barked at her wings, and Maya held out her hand to me. This time, in front of the lanterns and the empty chairs and every disappointment that had tried to claim her evening, I took it without hesitation. We danced badly, beautifully, and when she laughed into my shoulder, I knew the night had changed for both of us. By 9 o'clock, Sadie had declared herself too sleepy to be a fairy, which meant she was 5 minutes from becoming impossible. She curled up on Maya's outdoor love seat with Biscuit as her pillow, one glittery wing bent under her cheek. The dog looked deeply honored and mildly trapped. Maya stood beside me near the patio table holding 2 glasses of lemonade. Most of the lanterns were still glowing. The cake had a crooked canyon carved through it. The empty chairs no longer looked accusing. They just looked unnecessary. She's out, Maya whispered. I glanced at Sadie. That's not sleep, that's a power down sequence. Maya smiled and handed me a glass. Thank you for tonight. You thanked me already. I'm going to keep doing it. I'll start charging by the hour. Her shoulder bumped mine. Name your price. It was innocent, mostly, but the way she looked up at me made every sensible thought leave my head. I took a sip of lemonade to buy time. It was too sweet and too tart and somehow exactly right. One condition, Maya raised an eyebrow. That sounds serious. Tomorrow morning, you let me take you for breakfast. Her expression shifted, surprise first, then something warmer. Caleb Harris, she said slowly. Are you asking me on a date in the aftermath of my public social collapse? Private social collapse. Your backyard has limited seating. She laughed, then studied me over the rim of her glass. And if I say yes? Then I'll show up. On purpose. The joke faded a little at the edges. Maya lowered her glass. That might be the most romantic thing anyone has said to me all year. It's a low bar if punctuality is doing the heavy lifting. No, she shook her head. It's not that. Her gaze drifted toward the table, the decorations, the folded napkins she had lined up by hand. For a second, I thought the hurt would pull her back under. But then she looked at me again. It's being chosen, she said. Not included. Not remembered at the last minute. Chosen. I felt that in a place I didn't usually let people near. My divorce made me careful, I admitted. Maya went still, but not in the way people did when they wanted to back away. She went still to listen. I loved Sadie's mom once, I said. We were young. We wanted different lives and tried to pretend we didn't. When it ended, I told myself I was being responsible by keeping everything small. Work, Sadie, the house, the dog. No surprises. And then your neighbor had a tragic surplus of birthday cake. Exactly. My carefully organized life never stood a chance. Maya's smile was gentle, but her eyes were bright. For what it's worth, I'm scared too. Of breakfast? Of wanting breakfast to mean something. The night seemed to hush around us. I turned toward her fully. I want it to mean something. Her breath caught. There, I had said it. No repairman's joke, no dad reflex, no safe little exit door. Maya set her lemonade on the table and stepped closer. Not much. Just enough that the lantern light caught the gold flecks in her brown eyes. You're dangerous, she whispered. I blinked. Me? You say things like that with this calm face, like you don't know what they do. My laugh came out low, nervous. I have no idea what I'm doing. Good. Her fingers brushed mine. Neither do I. We stood there with our hands barely touching, like teenagers at the edge of a swimming pool, daring each other to jump. Then her phone buzzed again. The sound cut through the moment. Maya flinched, and I hated that tiny movement more than I wanted to admit. She glanced at the screen. Another message. Then another. Ignore it, I said, then immediately regretted the bossiness in my voice. Sorry, you don't owe anyone your attention tonight. Maya looked down anyway. Her mouth tightened, but she didn't crumble this time. Claire says she feels awful, she said. Priya sent crying emojis. Someone asked if there's cake left, which is bold. I made a face. That person is no longer eligible under birthday law. Maya laughed, but it thinned quickly. She placed the phone face down. A year ago, I would have answered everyone right away, made them feel better, told them it was fine. And now? She looked at me. Now I don't want to spend the rest of my birthday comforting people who forgot it. Pride moved through me, quiet and fierce. Not because she needed protecting, because she didn't. Good, I said. Her eyes softened. You look like you want to repair something. It's a condition. I see a broken appliance or a broken evening, and I start looking for screws. What if I don't want to be fixed? Then I'll sit with you unrepaired. That did something to her. I saw it before she covered it with a teasing tilt of her head. You really should come with a warning label. I do. It says may arrive with child and emotionally needy dog. And terrible dance moves. Those are premium features. She laughed, then looked towards Sadie. You should get her home. I know. Neither of us moved. The air between us had become a living thing. Finally, Maya walked with me to the love seat. I lifted Sadie carefully, her arms looping around my neck in sleep. Biscuit sprang up, shook himself, and trotted toward the gate as if he had been supervising the whole event. At the side gate, Maya followed us out. Her bare feet were quiet on the grass. I shifted Sadie's weight against my chest and turned back. Tomorrow, I said. 9? 9, she replied. Bakery on Elm? That's my Friday coffee place. I noticed. Her smile turned shy, pleased. Yes, you did. For a second, I thought that was the end of it. A promise. A look. Enough. Then Maya stepped closer and rose onto her toes. She didn't kiss my mouth. She kissed my cheek, soft and lingering, just beside the corner of my lips. It was innocent enough for the sleeping child in my arms. It was not innocent enough for my pulse. When she lowered back down, her face was pink. That's a down payment. I stared at her like an idiot. On breakfast? On showing up? I had no clever answer, none. So I said the truth. Maya, I'm going to show up. Her eyes shone again, but she didn't cry. I think I believe you. I carried Sadie home with Biscuit trotting beside me, and for the first time in years, my quiet little house felt less like a shelter and more like a place I might invite someone into. After I tucked Sadie in, I stood at the kitchen sink and looked across our yards. Maya was still outside, gathering plates into a trash bag. The lanterns painted her in soft gold. She picked up one of the empty chairs, paused, and looked toward my window. I raised my hand. She raised hers back. Then, slowly, like she was allowing herself one private, foolish, hopeful thing, she spun once under the lanterns in her yellow dress. No music, no audience. Just Maya. My chest tightened. I was still watching when my phone buzzed on the counter. A text from an unknown number lit the screen. This is Claire, Maya's friend. Are you the neighbor? Please tell her we're coming over now to make it right. I looked back across the yard. Maya had just blown out the last lantern. My thumb hovered over the screen. For once, I didn't rush to fix anything. I typed back, ask her tomorrow. Tonight is hers. Then I set the phone down and smiled like a man who had just made a promise to the night itself. I got to the bakery at 8:43, which was ridiculous. I sat in my truck across the street wearing my only button-down that didn't have a work logo on it and gave myself a stern lecture about acting like a normal adult man. At 8:51, I checked my hair in the rearview mirror. At 8:56, I saw Maya. She came walking down Elm Street in jeans, sandals, and a soft green blouse, her hair loose around her shoulders. No yellow dress, no careful birthday smile, no patio full of empty chairs behind her. Just Maya in morning light. And somehow that was worse for my self-control. She spotted my truck and grinned. I got out too fast and nearly slammed my knee into the door. Smooth, she called. I was testing the hinges. On your own truck? I'm very committed to my craft. She laughed, and there it was again, that feeling of the world opening a window. When I reached her, we stopped with a careful foot of space between us. It felt both polite and unbearable. Good morning, I said. Good morning. Her eyes dipped over my shirt. No lint stain today? I dressed up. For me? The question was light. Her gaze wasn't. I could have made a joke. Instead, I took the risk. Yes. Her smile changed, softer, happier. Good, she said. I wore the blouse with no paint on it for you. I'm honored by the sacrifice. You should be, it's rare. Inside, the bakery smelled like cinnamon, coffee, and butter. We ordered too much, croissants, 2 coffees, a blueberry muffin Maya swore was necessary research, and took a little table by the window. For the first few minutes, we were almost shy. It was strange how dancing in a backyard under lanterns had felt easier than sitting across from each other in daylight with napkins and proper silverware. Last night had been a rescue mission that turned into something else. This was a choice? A real one? Maya tore the corner off her croissant. So, do first dates have rules? I hope not. I didn't study. I think we already broke a few. Starting with cake before breakfast. And hand-holding before coffee. And your down payment. Her cheeks went pink, but she didn't look away. I stand by that business decision. My coffee paused halfway to my mouth. Business decision? Very strategic. I wanted to see if you'd panic. I did. You hit it well. No, I didn't. I walked home like a man who forgot where his bones were. Maya laughed into her cup. Then her phone buzzed on the table. Both of us looked at it. The screen showed Claire's name. Maya's smile faded, not gone, just guarded. She turned the phone face down. You can answer, I said. I know. She looked out the window. That's why I'm not. I waited. She came by this morning, Maya said, before I left, with flowers and a whole speech. How did that go? I accepted the flowers. I did not accept the speech. I tried and failed not to smile. Maya pointed at me. Don't look proud. It makes me want to be braver than I am. I am proud. Her eyes flickered. I leaned forward. Not because you ignored her, because you chose what you needed. She was quiet for a moment. Then she reached across the table and touched 2 fingers to the inside of my wrist. It was small, barely anything. It went through me like lightning. I chose this, she said. The bakery noise blurred around us. I turned my hand palm up and she slid her fingers into mine. Morning sun fell across our joined hands like it had been waiting for permission. This, I said, is my favorite breakfast so far. You haven't tried the muffin. I'm making an emotional statement, Maya. I respect that, but the muffin is excellent. We split it with a knife and argued over which half was bigger. She accused me of using repairman geometry. I accused her of teacher math. She told me second graders had better manners than I did. I told her second graders didn't know the pressure of sharing baked goods with a beautiful woman. That stopped her. Her fork lowered. Beautiful? She asked softly. I swallowed. Yeah. Her expression grew unguarded in a way that made my chest ache. I don't feel very beautiful after last night. You were beautiful last night too. Crying into your shirt? Especially then. I tightened my hand around hers. Not because you were hurting, because you stopped pretending you weren't. Maya looked down at our hands. My mother used to say I was easy to overlook. She said, so quietly I almost missed it. Not cruelly exactly, more like advice. Be louder, Maya. Try harder. Make yourself impossible to miss. Anger stirred in me, but I held it carefully. This wasn't a moment for outrage. It was a moment for truth. You're not easy to overlook, I said. Her eyes lifted. I saw you before last night. I was just too scared to let you know. She breathed out a laugh that nearly became a sob. We're a pair, aren't we? Terrified and overcaffeinated. And full of muffin. Romance at its finest. She smiled, but her thumb was moving slowly over my knuckles now, like she was learning the shape of my hand. After breakfast, neither of us wanted to leave. So we walked. Elm Street was bright with Saturday traffic, flower baskets hanging from lampposts, shop doors propped open. Maya told me about her classroom, about the kid who asked if clouds were sky mashed potatoes, about the desk she was refinishing in her garage. I told her about Sadie's obsession with worms, my worst appliance disasters, and how I still sometimes worried I was failing at fatherhood in ways I couldn't see yet. You're not, Maya said immediately. You don't know that. I know Sadie drew herself, you, me, and Biscuit on that napkin last night. Kids draw what feels safe. I stopped walking. She took one more step, then turned back. What? No one had said it to me that plainly before. Safe, not boring, not stuck. Not half a family, safe. I looked at her standing there in sunlight, holding a paper bakery bag with the leftover croissant, and something in me chose her again. Not because she was sad, not because I wanted to help, because I wanted her in my Saturdays. Maya, I said. Her teasing expression softened. Yes? I want to do this again. The muffin? You, me, a table, a walk. Whatever comes after. She stepped closer. That sounds suspiciously like a second date. It is. And if I say yes? I reached for her hand. Then I'll show up. Again. She smiled, but this time there was heat in it. Hope, too. She glanced around the sidewalk, then back at me. Caleb? Yeah? I don't want to cheek down. Payment this time. My heart kicked hard. She rose onto her toes, and I met her halfway. The kiss was soft at first. A question. A careful beginning in the middle of a busy sidewalk. Then her hand curled into the front of my shirt and mine settled at her waist, and the question became an answer. She tasted like coffee and blueberries. When we pulled apart, her eyes stayed closed for one extra second. Wow, she whispered. I rested my forehead lightly against hers. That's one word. I'm a teacher. I can find more later. My laugh came out shaky. We stood there smiling like fools until her phone buzzed again. Maya sighed, but this time she didn't shrink. She checked the screen and made a face. They're planning a makeup party tonight, she said, apparently at my house, without asking me. I frowned. Do you want that? She looked at the message, then at me. No, she said. Then, after a breath, but I don't want to hide either. So don't. Her brow lifted. What does that mean? It means tell them the truth. And then come to dinner with me and Sadie. Pancakes, pajamas optional for minors and dogs only. Maya's smile bloomed slowly. Are you inviting me into your quiet little life, Caleb Harris? I squeezed her hand. Yeah, I said. I am. She looked down at our joined hands, then back at me. Then I choose dinner, she said. And when her friends kept texting, Maya typed one message, hit send, and turned her phone off. I didn't ask what it said. I didn't need to. She lifted my hand and kissed my knuckles right there on Elm Street. Then she grinned. So, about these pancakes. Maya took pancake negotiations very seriously. Blueberries in the batter, she said, standing in my kitchen that evening with her sleeves rolled up, not sprinkled on top like an afterthought. Sadie gasped from her stool. Daddy sprinkles them. Maya turned to me with theatrical disappointment. Caleb. I held up both hands. I didn't know there was a legal standard. There is now, Maya said. Breakfast law, cousin of birthday law. Biscuit barked once from beneath the table. See, she said. The dog agrees. The dog once ate a sock. A visionary. Sadie dissolved into giggles. I watched Maya pour batter onto the griddle like she had always belonged in that kitchen, barefoot on my old floor, laughing with my daughter, stealing glances at me whenever she thought I wasn't looking. Except I was always looking. Not in the hungry, frightened way I had looked before from across a fence, convincing myself wanting was dangerous. This was different. This was choosing. When Sadie insisted on setting the table, she gave Maya the chair beside mine. Because Daddy smiles more when you sit there. Maya froze with a stack of napkins in her hand. I felt heat climb my neck. Sadie, what? You do? Maya's eyes met mine over my daughter's head, and her face softened in a way that made the whole room go quiet inside me. Well, she said gently, I smile more too. Sadie nodded, satisfied, as if she had arranged a diplomatic treaty. Halfway through dinner, Maya's phone buzzed from her purse near the door. She glanced toward it, then back at the table. I didn't say anything. She took a breath. I told them I wasn't available tonight, that if they wanted to apologize, they could do it another day, one at a time, without hijacking my house. That sounds fair, I said. It felt mean. It wasn't. I know. She looked at Sadie, who was giving Biscuit a stern lecture about pancake theft. I think I'm just new at not abandoning myself. I reached under the table and found her hand. Her fingers laced through mine immediately. You've got time to practice, I said. With you? My thumb brushed her knuckles. If you want. Her answer wasn't a joke, it wasn't shy. Yes, she said. I want. After dinner, Sadie fell asleep during the second cartoon, her head in Maya's lap, one hand tangled in Biscuit's fur. Maya stroked my daughter's hair with the kind of tenderness that didn't perform for anyone. It just existed. I sat beside her on the couch close enough that our shoulders touched. She's wonderful, Maya whispered. She thinks you're magic. Maya smiled. And you? I looked at her in the blue glow of the television, at the woman who had cried in my arms the night before, and kissed me in sunlight that morning and now sat in my home like a promise I hadn't known how to ask for. I think she's right, Maya's breath caught. She leaned in first. The kiss was slow this time, not a sidewalk beginning, not a down payment. It was deeper, warmer, edged with all the words we were still too careful to say after only one day, and somehow not careful enough to hide. When she pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. But I don't want to run. Then don't. Her hand slid to my cheek. Ask me again. I knew what she meant. Not breakfast, not dinner. Something simpler and bigger. Maya, I said, can I see you tomorrow? She smiled against my mouth. Yes? And the day after that? Yes? And maybe after that we stop pretending this is casual? She laughed softly and there were tears in it, but happy ones now. Yes, Caleb. So we did. We stopped pretending. The next day, we took Sadie and Biscuit to the park, where Maya taught Sadie how to make daisy chains and I pretended not to be jealous when Biscuit abandoned me for her picnic blanket. The following week, Maya's friends apologized properly. Some friendships mended. Some didn't. Maya learned the difference between forgiveness and making herself small enough for other people's comfort. I learned too. I learned that love after loss doesn't arrive like a thunderclap. Sometimes it comes through a fence carrying a sleepy child, followed by a dog with no manners. Sometimes it looks like a woman in a yellow dress blowing out candles no one else came to see. 3 months later, Maya had a key to my house, though she claimed it was only for plant emergencies. Sadie started leaving drawings on Maya's fridge. Biscuit divided his loyalty between both couches with shameless efficiency. And me? I fixed appliances during the day and came home to a life that kept expanding. There were still hard conversations. Maya had days when an unanswered text made her feel forgotten all over again. I had moments when fear told me to retreat before happiness could be taken from me, but we got better at reaching. She would say, "Don't disappear on me, repairman." And I would say, "I'm right here, birthday girl." By the following June, I planned her birthday myself. Not a surprise party. Maya hated the idea of waiting to see who remembered. This time, she chose the guest list. Sadie made invitations with glitter. Biscuit wore a ridiculous bow tie. I strung lanterns across both our yards, opened the gate between them, and set one long table from her patio to mine. People came, her sister, two teacher friends, my mother, who brought too much casserole, a few neighbors, kids from the block. The evening filled with music, laughter, lemonade, and the warm chaos of people who actually wanted to be there. But before we lit the candles, Maya slipped her hand into mine and pulled me away from the noise. We stood by the fence where I had first seen her heart break. Only now the gate was open. "You remember?" she asked. "Every second." She looked toward the table where Sadie was guarding the cake from Biscuit with heroic seriousness. "I thought that night proved I was easy to forget," Maya said. I turned her gently toward me. "It proved the opposite." Her eyes shone. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya went completely still. Behind us, someone laughed. A lantern swung in the breeze. Biscuit barked like he had inside information. "I'm not asking because you were lonely that night," I said. "I'm asking because every day since I've chosen you. In my kitchen, in the park, on bad mornings, in ordinary grocery aisles. When you're laughing, when you're scared, when you're covered in paint and pretending that chair is definitely worth saving." A tear slipped down her cheek. "I love you, Maya Sullivan. I want the gate open for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" She covered her mouth, crying and laughing at once. Then she nodded so hard I almost dropped the ring. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, of course, yes." When I slid the ring onto her finger, Sadie shouted, "Does this mean Miss Maya is staying?" Maya laughed through her tears and opened her arms. Sadie ran into them. Biscuit ran too because Biscuit believed every emotional moment required his full participation. I wrapped my arms around both of them, and for a moment we were just a tangle of laughter, tears, fur, and lantern light. Then Maya looked up at me and kissed me in front of everyone. Not a down payment. Not a beginning. A promise. That night when she blew out her candles, every chair was full, but the best part wasn't the crowd. It was the open gate between our yards and Maya's hand in mine, and Sadie leaning against us and Biscuit asleep under the table with a stolen napkin between his paws. A year before, no one came to her birthday. And because we did, I found the love of my life. What would you have done if you looked that through the fence and saw your neighbor standing alone at her own birthday party with the cake untouched and no guests arriving? Have you ever experienced something similar? Tell your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.